I'm, I mean, my mom and daddy saw to it that I was in Sunday school and church, and I saw to it that my kids were. And of course, this thing lately about the gay and lesbian community, you know, I had to take a stand. And it's because of my personal beliefs. Well, I've had some criticism because people said that I shouldn't allow my personal beliefs to come into being. Well, that's the problem we got in this country today. Some people have not allowed their personal beliefs to dictate their actions. And so, you know, I'm a firm believer, and I believe in equality. I believe in helping everybody, and I'm not opposed to that at all. But, you know, I still go back to the fact that we got to help ourselves.
Of course. Now on that issue there, the American Constitution gives you the right and the privilege, and everyone else to have the freedom of casting their votes. We have to be thankful that we're not in a third world country.
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah.
And everybody is protected to a certain degree under the constitutions.
Mm-hmm.
So the constitution issues we don't have any control over.
Right.
But our own personal opinions is ours. Mm-hmm. And can't nobody got the right to take that from us.
That's right.
So, you understand what I'm saying? You know, so anyway, that was the basics of what I wanted to go.
What I'll do is I'll speak to the committee has not been finalized. There's still a couple of, I'll speak to Mayor about this and see what's happening there.
My points, I got a few points myself. What first one I got about the committee is that when and not only me or maybe Robinson, but when the community looks at that committee, you wasn't here then. They formed a committee on the renaming of Butler Park, and about 15 people on that committee. And it's a matter of record, I got it all recorded. And very few, not a single person, we highlighted them before council. Not one person who went out and checked the records about Mr. Barber and how he denied blacks the right to go to that park, and the history concerning that. The people who paid the money to open records, to go and get all that information, not a single person was on that committee. Other words, and so when I look at this committee, along with other people, as they have just said before, and even some, what we don't understand is on the committee and on the council, who know but they don't say nothing about it. And so we in the black community see things maybe a little different from other people. There are blacks in this community, whether you think, whether you, and only you, I'm talking people, see it or not. The things that I bring up, the things that Robinson and others bring up from our circles, is because we have the heartbeat of the community. The things that people are afraid to say, or because people are feared or scared for their jobs, they will not do what we are doing. This morning, I'll show you something, if I have it. An individual this morning laid that on me down at McDonald's. That's what I got this morning. He said, Brother Rhynes, we appreciate what you're saying. You're highlighting things we want to say, but we can't say it. So he said, well, get that on your radio broadcast. This is the point that I think some people fail to understand. Robinson's a minister. I'm a minister. But how many more ministers end up in Floyd Road? So people criticize that, call him a racist, because he come up and tell the heartbeat of what others will not talk about. You see, and so they will label him. But when it comes down to the brass tacks of it all, they have the same feelings as we have, but they just won't say it. Now, I'm only saying that because of this. If the people are afraid to speak up and speak out, then it's like taxation without representation, because it's only on, it's their fault, as you said before. They have, it go back to individual responsibility. But then it go back to what he said, and that when you beat people over the head for so long, that's why I talked once about the fleet. They jump up and down, and nobody will listen to them. The newspaper won't tell their story. Then they feel like, well, hey, ain't nothing gonna change. And so you have a lot of black preachers, bishops, who won't say a word, but yet behind closed doors, they come and pat me on the shoulder. Brother Ryan, we really appreciate what you're doing. Because we can't say, because they are afraid. They're like,
well, there's no reason to be afraid in today's society.
I know, I understand that.
I mean, you know.
You are correct, But you have to go back to what he said. When people see, it's easy to say we don't have the people out there to do these contracting jobs. But when these people have stepped up to the plate and had hope and they see maybe Scruggs, Rhynes, and Langdale, or whoever, in one way or another, and it may just be a perception. It just may be a perception. Sometimes perception is reality to certain people. So maybe they see them as holding them back. And so when they keep going up there and get kicked back and get like the flea, then they just give up saying, no, you can't get nothing through this good old boy system, whether it's just a perception or whether it's true. And then so you got people sit down and they'll tell me, Brother Brian, don't you know somebody gonna kill you because of what you say? But see, I'm beyond that because somebody had to do for me what I'm trying to do for somebody else. And you know, the thing about it, I was on a radio talk show the other week and they called me a racist. And there's nothing, I've done to 75, there's nothing in my record at all. Can't nobody find nothing, not even a comment about racist. But the point is that they got to label you for something. But why don't they say that when I talk about, I just put some clips up on YouTube about the thing that I brought for City Council, which is signs being blocked. Now, if those signs was not blocked, and for me to get out there and cut a video about it would make me look silly. I did the same thing in Quitman after 2 years, it took them 2 years to put railroad signs up on 84 and down here on Washington Street, which is by law. So what I'm saying is that how could it be that those mothers and fathers over there have children and ride those school buses, but they didn't have the courage, they knew it because I taught some of them about it, but they wouldn't go to City Council to say boo. And so what has happened here in Valdosta is the same thing. Now bring it back to the contracting level and the VSAID program. The committee, if we set up a committee here, and people are going to look at the people on that committee, I'm not going to call a name, but there's several people on there we can call, I can call, that was on another committee. In fact, they were the chairman of that committee. So how is it that the same blacks are put on this committee? Now, I don't know how some view it, but some of us view it as he is one of the people who are whites, or maybe some of the blacks who have made it. Maybe what we call is up here. So that's still he take, as Reverend Rose said, you got a black face in the place, but that's all just a face. But when you come back down to the community and you start getting these people who are at the bottom, not who used to be at the bottom, and who want to talk for somebody, because I'm nobody's leader. I refuse to be a leader of anybody. I am that I am. And if somebody see me as leading, I hope it's in the right direction. So short form, that committee, in my most humble opinion, should have been some contractor, like maybe Kelly, somebody like Roberts, or
Who's Kelly?
He's a GC. He's a contract unit. Somebody like
What's his first name?
Terry
Kelly.
In fact, to tell you the truth,
And he's a black contractor?
Black general contract.
Huh, I'm not familiar.
yeah. And see, these when they get on the committee, let me show you how this works. And see, unless we get inside of these committees to break down the perception in the black community that it's the same old thing as usual. You got this. I'm gonna call the guy, Roger Jefferson. I love him. He retired. But the point is that if we see
Robert Jefferson.
I think his name.
Robert, yeah.
Yeah. And I'm not down on him. Don't get me wrong. Beautiful individual. I talked to him. So I had to move. So my thing is this here. But when you can go to the heartbeat of the community. Now, one thing I commend him. That girl that you got for Southside, what's her name? You may not know her. But anyway, she is one
I don't
person.
have that.
But now she is seen as a plus. She will be seen as a plus on the community, on that community. So when you can,
Who brought her in?
I don't know who brought her in. I don't know who brought her in. But I do know, short form, I say this here. Once you start including people, it's gonna make a difference. But until that happens, people gonna say it's all, as he said, going together as usual. And so when I first listened to the names on that committee, I'm sitting there and said, God, how can, why is it that some of these people can't get the people, if not me, if not Rose, somebody who Stalvey have worked with that know what we have been trying to do for 3.5 years. Mark Barber, we met with him so many times. We sat in here with, what's his name, Larry Hanson, so many times. And when we look at this committee, we look at the work we've done toward VSAID, trying to make VSAID work, and the very people who are on VSAID right now, if you call these black people, put around the table, you know what they'll say? VSAID was a failure. What they will say. And it's sad to say that. We thought that our work would be something that we'd be further up the road than we are now. And I'm not criticizing, but if we come in here, I listened to my beautiful brother, Brother Robinson, a few minutes ago, and go back and talk about bonding. He talked about the same things and making it possible for us to get inside the door. Well, we've done all this for years. I mean, I'm getting tired of hearing him say that, you know. But
Why do you think VSAID's a failure?
No, if you go back to what I said, I'm recording it. I didn't say that I thought it was a failure. I said the people who are out there who thought when they was on TV.
The contractors think the
Yeah,
same thing.
when they was on TV, they thought that things gonna change. Where we at that day? Up there, the room was practically full. We got video of it. And man, they had confidence, they had faith. And it's, man, once we gonna get into it now. And then next thing they know, boom. It's like that V-cell was used, that's the perception, to fill a square in terms of we are doing something, but we're not going anywhere. Now, when this committee is developed, and if nothing happens from the committee, then they say, oh, there we go again. So here again, they fall back into that. Ask Isaiah, he'll tell you too, that we have set up these committees over the years and decades, and we've had hope, we thought something going to happen, but things remain the same.
Back in what he was saying, and to make a valid issue and a valid point to back up what he's saying, if you was to get those same contractors that was interviewed, and you take and interview them and ask them what happened, and then they're going to tell you, say, we had to close our doors, we had to shut down our business. We got some that was, my son, he was an architect. He wanted to get an architectural project. He lost out on that. Then, you know, they were looking for this to help, and they didn't get some of the jobs, and you need to talk to them. But I do believe that, you can go ahead now, but I would just want to
when you mentioned Langdale, two of you mentioned Langdale, I just sat here, when you mentioned Langdale, and Scrubs, and the Rhynes, but I didn't hear you say anything about, of course he's not from this community, but he's just as valid when it comes down to Section 3, et cetera, because anybody can bid it. We got H&H pavement over in Brooks County, a black guy, and I'm not going to say that he's just like any of the power brokers that I just mentioned, but I think that, and I would love for you, since you're the mayor, I would love to hear you talking to him, sitting where Robertson is, and maybe we're not even here, or we could be here, and let you hear what's inside of his heart in terms of what has happened to him when he comes to apply for these bids, and he's qualified and working for every qualification, calling DOT, had me to call DOT and the state and in Washington to find out what he can do. We've traveled up to Hood several times.
What's his name?
Curtis Head. Curtis Head.
Curtis Head, I know him.
Yeah, him. And he has a story to tell. So once these people, and see, he got a story of other black contractors, the older ones, most of them got scared. They scared. Now, I wish that there was an open meeting in Valdosta. If the preachers, I'm talking about preachers now, the ones who ain't supposed to have no fear, would get up and tell somebody publicly what they tell me behind closed doors. And they fear for my life, you understand? I don't fear for my life, I don't, because I believe in truth.
I think, you know, we thank you for taking the time.
Well, what I'm going to do,
I commend you for that.
I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to, in the next little while, I'm going to talk to Terry Kelly, and I'm going to talk to Curtis Head.
Okay, good.
One-on-one.
Oh, good.
I appreciate
to hear their story.
Yes, sir, please do.
And I'm going to, I'm going to see what they have to say.
Please.
Because I believe these people are people that have worked hard and built themselves up. And that's what it takes. And I believe in those kind of people.
If you could do me one other favor, if you could add John Robertson Jr. on there.
Yes.
You know, and the reason I say that, because he got all
He's
educational,
right.
Yes sir, he got all the educational credentials that you probably could ask for, except for having the wings. Yeah. But I here again, I don't want to take a lot of time as mayor, but you know what, we have done this, we've met. But John Robertson, the man who, he told me the other day, we was out there to his house, he said, don't you think it's time for us to go back and see the man? He said, we have to go back again. He said, we moving quite fast. I said, yes, let's go back. And so he called you, and I appreciate that. And I thank you for giving us this opportunity.
Yes, please.
I mean, you can't, some of these things, I realize it's been long, many years. And I'm surprised, I'll be honest with you, that things are not better than they are. See, I somewhat disagree with Mr. Rose, or Reverend Rose, a little bit, because when I was in school and they started talking about integration and all that, I was in an all-white school. The only time I was in an integrated school was when I was at college. But I expected people to get an education no matter what. you know, what color they were, you know, whether they were black or white, to get an education, to get a high school education. And I know that some of the background some of these people come from, it's hard for them to proceed because they're not getting the encouragement they need at home. And they're not getting the fathers and the sometimes are not there, and they're not getting adequate discipline, and they're not getting, and that's white and black. That ain't just
Okay,
black. But I expected people to try to better themselves, you know, and to get that education they needed, and to proceed with even higher education. But sometimes that hasn't always happened.
Sometimes like the Rhynes was mentioning perception, okay? Yeah. And based upon perception, that brings in the word illusion. Now, sometimes things don't appear what they allude to be, okay? If we use the analysis of impediments, and we was to say disregard the adults, and we was to just pick out the children. And when we pick out the children, and it says the white children in Rhynes County in the city of Valdosta, poverty that lives in poverty is 5.2%. Then when we say the black children is 50.6%, that there is a staggering number. Therefore, that's what prompts the Floyd Rhodes' opinion, because this is found in to be the factual, actual. This is not the illusion, and it's not a perception. So therefore, you hear men speak out, and it might be on anger. Now, when we use the children, and we say, why is it this way? Then we look at the structure of the economics that's dealing with our local society. It's economically imbalanced. So that being the case, it's been that way for so long until it become a fixation of a way of life. And then we get all of these mentalities, and this one don't love their children, and this one here, it starts at home, and all the time the true problem is the economic struggle, okay? Now, I said this before, our problem is too large for a Band-Aid, and it's too complex for us to fix in our entire lifetime. But perhaps if we can start, and to take a person like yourself, okay, that's done experienced the life on the farm, that's done said, you know, hey, your mom and your dad says, I'm gonna cook some chicken feet tonight, you know, we're gonna eat some neck bones and beans, and understand this, and then don't quite understand the concept of why everybody can't get an education. Well, that makes you a prime person to deal with something like this, okay? And you got to have an open mind. And the key factor, don't be judgmental. That's going to be a very key factor.
But the fact is, even though, I mean, I see people today, I mean, you look at some of the groups at Valdosta High School, Smile and what's that other one? 95% of them are black. Mm-hmm. But they have had no encouragement. They're from single family homes. But they wanted to better themselves.
Of course.
And so now they've made straight A's in school. They've been encouraged by people, and that person's going to help them get a college education through scholarships and everything.
Let me tell you something that's very hopeful.
I mean, if
you bring Langdale and these guys together and try something, okay? Go on and lay the egg, all right?
Okay.
And then let's put the egg in the incubator and let's nurse our egg. You understand me? And then bring this community alive by changing its economic structure, by them reinvesting back in their own community, and then kind of isolate the thing to a certain degree. I'm not saying keep everybody out now. What I'm saying, keep it where we can get our local county people first, instead of everybody coming from Jacksonville, Tallahassee, Atlanta, taking all our projects.
Well, I'm all for that. Let me say this last point, because Reverend Rose not here to defend himself, and I don't mean not defend, not being not being funny. I also was included in the mix on the conservative radio station. I met them out there, and I gave them a good challenge for the money. It's on YouTube. You can see it. Because there's no venom in me, I can speak clearly and receive clearly. But when Mr. Love said that, and said that even before when Dr. McCluskey stood for the Board of Education, that he did not want white children, or didn't think white children could teach black children. I'm 100% sure, not 97.5, I'm 100% sure those words never came from Rose's mouth. Now, people can read into it what they want, but he never said that. I got the record of everything that he said, I recorded. But somebody created that and it started running. Now, what the record does say, that the federal government under the Department of Justice said for 41 years, we have been under a court order, which means that we need more black educators, more black principals, and for them to hire 2 whites to distort and dilute the progress that was being made to come in compliance with the 1972 court order, then that would be a slap in the face even to the Department of Justice. And so when I stood, if you'll notice, and I told Mr. Beckham that I never even addressed the issue, because my concern was the fact that this court order needed to be complied with, and that nobody asked for inferior blacks to take any of those jobs. What we wanted was qualified blacks to get those positions and other positions that they should have been in. And this is what Rose have said, but it got sidetracked somewhere down the line.
Let me ask you this now, and I'm not as familiar with all that as I should be, I guess. But what's the school out there on Park Avenue? JLU?
Yes, sir.
All right. That school had too many black teachers, right? All right. Where were the white teachers? Is that where the white teachers were put in?
You mean the last issue we was discussing?
Yeah.
That the last fight or battle was not about that at all, really. It was about the principals, not the teachers.
Oh, okay.
Well, that was about the teachers. Rose asked a question, said, you know, what, I give you a copy of the DVD because you didn't see it. That way you can listen to the whole thing and you can see me. You hear everything Chris Beck and Mr. Love stated. You'll see me come back, refute it. With proof. Just that simple. And my proof was this. I played Rose actual tape. And I asked Mr. Love and I asked Mr. Beckham and I asked the people in this community, what did Rose say one time that he wanted blacks? He didn't say that. What he wanted was, we got a court compliance. That's 41 years. That's what Rose was focusing on. And to me, Mr. Kaysen, he met on a broadcast twice. And when they try to paint me and others as this, but we don't, I meet with Kaysen, I walk around right now. I think Kaysen respects me. And I respect him as friends, you know. And so, I don't understand how people can get something so twisted when all this is doing is trying to clarify and state it in facts. What people are not used to is a man like Floyd Rose, John Robinson, or myself to stand up and speak the truth rather than just speaking in the bathroom and other places. Man, you know what, Mr. Mayor, you know what, I bet you, I'm almost willing to bet you on this, that if you got this room and let a bunch of preachers get in here, black preachers, and you sit over there on a microphone behind that door and listen to the heartbeat of them without you being there, you would be surprised.
And I say this,
I don't mean to put them down, but this is the reality of life.
I don't say this because we know we done gobbled up more than 25 minutes.
Yeah, I got to be out of here.
And want you to understand, appreciate this, and just kind of stay focused. And what I meant by don't be judgmental is not nothing offensive or take the wrong way now. What I'm saying about that is that, you know, if we was to take a ball and throw it against that wall, it's going to come back, right? So if we just use your best judgment, and when you hear people say things, I learned that since I had this illness. I hear many things, okay? And I learned now to sit back and listen, and I hear, and then I decipher what I've heard, and then when I look into it, then I find out there'll be reasons why people say certain things, and then I get to understanding the motive and the method of why they said it, and I say, wow, I didn't realize that.
What other businesses do you have besides the
Welding. We got architectural service that we're trying to get going. We got a Fabco
What's
fabrication.
the name of your welding shop?
Fabco fabrication.
Where are they located?
Right here on Forest Street, at 311 South Forest.
Okay.
And we tried to get with John over there, and John Whitehead, and he don't respond the way he need to. We doing all of Vowler's work. We're doing Hertz work. We did work for waste management, and we want to do some work with the city. But I'm a straightforward guy. and John seems to be a little arrogant, okay? And I'm not trying to be funny,
Well, just between me and you, you're not the first person that's told me that.
you know what I'm saying? And I don't know what these cats' problems be, but they don't really realize that they don't take enough time to look at what the savings can be to your city. Okay, the small things adds up. Okay, anyway, we got the welding business. We're trying to get the restaurant going. We're all trying. We're trying. Restaurant going. We got an architect, the architectural service, and we got my youngest son. He just graduated from Southern Polytech as a civil engineer, and he got the bachelor's degree of science. Okay, and he's working with the company that do these tall towers. And then once he get his PE, he's gonna try to start something of his own, you know, like that. And what it boils down to, you got to put something in to get something out.
Amen.
Okay, and that's what we want to see.
You and I agree on that.
Yes, sir.
But, and I hear you say that, but look, this is going to be very short. I want you to be up 1 minute. We won't take 1 minute to say that.
30 seconds.
30 seconds, that's fine. 15. John Jr. have crossed all those hurdles. But when he comes to sit down with him, he's going to tell you about some of them. I promise you that. That took less than 15 seconds.
All right.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Appreciate you, man.
Thank you.
Thank you, John. All right.
And today is what, July the 30th?
July the 30th.
2012.
You're not going to put me on a time limit, are you?
Great meeting. And we appreciate your time.
and just do the business.
Yes,
I'll
sir.
do it. All right. Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.